If we just start with loosen off just by the shoulder width. And just find the feet in the ground. And just swing it from the back. So, and take it to the sides. And rotating. Good, take it to an open close. So. Great, good, taking it, nice deep breath in, the top, we're reaching up. Enjoy all the way down, the breath out. And the next week, a little bit more dynamic. Think about breath up and releasing down. And as you breathe in, reach up, release down. And last one, just releasing the body down. Couple of breaths down. You release up the head, the shoulders. Send a little bit of an impulse from the hip. Get a tracing of the leg. Just pausing at the knee. Take it to a little bit of spinal flexion, extension. And just make them a little bit more flexible. Roll through the spine. And just make them a little bit bigger. Bring the legs into it. Bring the head up to the top. And just take it to a low squat. Raising it to the top with it. Nice. Great. Good. Just finding keep that kind of hip width, shoulder width step. Just go into a little bit of breath work here. Just find the base of the ribcage, base of the pelvis. A couple of really deep breaths in. Really focus on here, really trying to activate the neck. As you do it, so nice one is just gently pulling the chin back. As you breathe in, breathe big as you can. Make the breath out as big, active as you can as well. And really breathing in as deep as you can in the base of the nose. You feel open, expand the ribcage. Breathe out, the focus goes kind of pulling the belly button towards the spine. So in. We're just going to one thing to it now. Bring the feet together. Just going to touch the toes, heels a little bit separated. Think about turning the thigh bone in. Gently squeezing the knees together. Not that you're squeezing the legs together. Just you're making contact at the knee. Keep that same hand position. Think about a little bit more of a ringing motion now. So a little bit more focus on the foot and on the feet. Those 3 points of contact in the ground. Squeezing gently the legs together. Pull the body up a little bit taller with the breath. And really exit, out breath, pulling to center. Think about now using the elbows in that position. Think about just adding a little bit more width across the shoulders and the back of the shoulders. Pulling the head long. And then from there, just reaching the hands forward, squeezing the fingertips together. Keep that squeeze in the legs, keeping the knees touching, focusing on the feet in the ground. Release the hips back just a touch, about 10 centimeters or so. Really squeeze the fingertips together. Think about kind of expansion around the ribcage, so around the shoulders. Keep the feet squeezing, legs squeezing, reach the hands up just above the forehead. Nice long breaths. I think in this position is really great. When we think about breathing back into the rib cage, so if you think about kind of trying to lift the ribs up to the ceiling, as big as you can. Great. And the next out breath, just bring the hands back down. Let the hips come back to a natural position. Release out a little bit. Good. Take it to quite a wide stance now. So feet just gently in turn. That same sense of a feeling of gently rolling the hips in. Again, then just think about chopping the hips back. So it's just chopping the hips, bring them back forward. Important thing with this is try and avoid thrusting the hip forward. So you don't want the hips to come forward of the knees, of the feet. Just think about hinging them back, and then just like a kind of band back, just pulls back to the center. Chopping them back, bring them back. Key things here is keep all that expansion in the upper body. Just the hips do it, just the hips hinging back. And then just bring the handwork back into it. So you're going to go play with like a long position here, and then squeezing out. Probably go a little bit further because the hands are coming into it. Squeeze back, press into it, and back. And again, just start to bring the breath work into it. Nice deep breath in as you go out. Use the breath out. And draw back to center. Great. Perfect. And then one, just hold in this position, hold it about 20 seconds, couple of deep breaths. Great. Good, keeping the hips wide out, raise the hands just with the head, just off the line of the forehead again. Couple of deep breaths. Keeping that thing is squeezing, just release the body down to the ground. Hips go, hips go, hips go. And then when you go all the way down, squeeze the hands into the ground. And keep an active lengthening of the back of the leg. Think about the maximum amount that you can pull the hip away from the ground. Draw them away so the feet are trying to anchor the body in the ground. The hips are actively looking to go up and back. Okay, so the most active part of the body now is the hip, and then also add to that the hands. So the hands really engaging in. If you get a little bit of a tremble in the leg, just add a little bit of an outer anchor or an inner anchor. See which one feels better. So squeezing the ground together, pulling the ground apart. Couple of deep breaths here. Reach the hand forward a little bit more. If you can, reach forward a little bit more. Get to the point where you really feel like you're kind of falling over. Hold the body up. And then slowly pull to the shin bone. Really press strongly into the shin. Pull the back as long as you can now. So nice straight body. Check the chin, check the neck. And then you're just going to pull the body up. Just stop at the knee, just as the fingertips pass the knee. Find that position here. Stay there. Reach the hands forward. And hold it. One more deep breath. And release the hips back. Release back to center. Shake everything out a little bit. Great. Good. Now we're just going to a lunge position. So reasonably long. Back foot is set up so that it's just very subtly in turn. So the main thing with this is don't stand on a line. Just stand with like a hip width posture with the feet. Back foot, just allow it to just gently in turn. Front foot as well, very subtly in turn with the feet. And then just think about here, just going to a hinge. So reach the hands out to the top, pull the body nice and long, and then just think about hinging straight down through the center line, pulling back. straight down through the center line, pulling back. And because it's still a hip hinge, be careful of the knee wanting to travel forward, in which case you go a little bit more into a lunge position. But think about really hinging the hip and pulling the body back. That's a bit here. Asymmetric hip hinge, and it's that front leg. First one's really just kind of a check. Just basically, can the leg take the weight? The body can just receive it. Pull it back. If you feel especially kind of imbalance in this one, especially apply an outer anchor, so in this case, as you hinge outwards the body out, think about really squeezing the ground away from you. And as you pull back into center, think about squeezing the legs back together. You feel this kind of scissoring action of the legs. Good. Perfect. Good. Good. And then from the outside position, just add a little bit more of a rotation into it. So it's going to be the back hip. Let the front foot just be stable. Back hip just takes you out. And again, you can hold this one, or you can pulse in and out it. If pulse it, use the breath as well. So think about a breath in, breath back to center. Center. Again, the test is just see whether that front leg can just receive the motion. Back hip mobilizes, also receives it. Head receives it. Great. Very nice. Good. Great. And then pull back to that front position. Stay in the hip hinge. Reach the hands as high as you can. Let the front hip, in this case, let it go a little bit further back. So if you think about it, that same idea of pulling the hips back, away from the ground, up and away from the ground, and the hands reaching out to compensate for that. So just reach up as high as you can. Take a couple of deep breaths here. Back nice and long, head's nice and long with it. And then next out breath, release back to center. Keep that foot in the ground, switch over, press the other foot in, switch the other foot back. Hands into that sphere tension at the front. And again, just playing with a hip hinge forward, just straight through the center line. Straight through the center line. And if you feel especially kind of an imbalance, more on one side than the other, just think about applying a little bit of an outer anchor. Squeeze the ground away from as you hinge in. Pull it back together as you hinge back to the center. Great. Good. Very nice. Great. And then keeping in the hinge, adding into a rotation, and let that back foot be mobile, back hip receives the motion. Really try and drive it from the hip and draw it back from the hip. So the whole motion mobilizing from the hip. And if you can integrate the breath into it, if you can pulse it, or you can hold it, just check that position, check the stability there. Nice. Great. Good, and then just pulling back to center, stay in the hinge, reach the hands forward, let the hips go a little bit further back, reach up as high as you can. And just take a couple of deep breaths there. Nice, long deep breaths. Reach up as high as you can. Good, perfect. Great. And then the next out breath, just release it out. Shake out a little bit. Very good, very good, very good. Okay, take as wide a sense as you can now. So you're going to go really wide. There again, very subtle internal rotation. Doesn't matter so much now you go super wide, but we'll just play with one. So again, going into an isometric one, let the hips drive this motion. You're going to be in a chop position at the hip. Let the hips drive the hand down and pull it back up. Drive it down, pull it back up. Just going off center a little bit, but not reaching for the foot. Just guiding the hand towards the ground. And the key thing is try and drive it from the hip. Torso stays long and full. And it's not really about reaching the ground, so you don't have to reach the ground. But the key thing is just that sense again, mobilizing from the hip, keeping the spine, keeping the back long. Nice. Just a little bit easier with a wider posture, but just find a comfortable range with it. Nice, nice. Good, perfect. Nice. Good. Okay, perfect. And then we'll take it to a full position with it. So think about just hinging the hips back a little bit. Sphere of tension at the front. Okay, and then you're just going to hinge that sphere down. Bring the body a little bit lower. Keep a little bit of bend in the knee with this one. So don't go so wide that you take the bend out of the leg. And then think about just spearing the hands into the ground now. Make sure there's not so much pressure in the fingertips, and you can check it just by releasing the hands. All the weight in the feet, and then think about just tracing up the shoulders. Again, the hip's going to drive it, so if you think about hip-driven motion all the time, reach up to the ceiling as you get up through the shoulder, and then draw it back down. So into the thumb, hinge up to the top, reach up to the ceiling, come back down. Just do a couple on each side. Nice, nice. And if you think about the breath with it, breathing into it, drawing the hand up, breathing back out, pulling the hand back down. Perfect. Good. And when you do an even number, just find that front position again. Just find that spearing of the hands into the ground. Just find again the weight in the hips. Press into the shin bone, pull the back nice and long. Feel the back of the body active, and then think about drawing the body up. Drawing the body up, just stopping at the knee again. Come into a wide wing position here. So the hand's going to come back, thumbs are going to rotate out to the side. Think about making the hand big, back of the forearm really strong. One deep breath in. And then from here, you're just going to squeeze the hands together at the front. Press them into this position. Switch position. You're in this position. Keep the back nice and full, and just think about breathing around the ribcage now. So in that position, just play with a subtle raise of the hands. And again, you can either hold it as high as you can get up, keeping the shoulders down, try and avoid the shoulders shrugging up, keep them low, really press the hands together, a couple of deep breaths. In, breathe the back of the ribcage full, back of the neck long, looking up through the hands. Great. Just a couple more. Come back to that long wing position, full, 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 full. Last position we'll do just here, just with the hands down to the ground. Think about spreading, opening the shoulders up. So not this kind of position and also not this position, but think about creating alignment from the shoulder field to the hand. Full with the hand, just take a couple of breaths. Oh, I like one more. Make a fist, turn them down, squeeze into the ground. So think about keeping that same hand position, shoulder position, strong with the hands, and think about, if you think like you're on a bike and you're trying to break the bar of the bike, the handlebar. Really active with the back of the body. A couple of deep breaths. And next out breath, release it, release the hands, pull back to center, shake everything out, shake out the hips a little bit probably. Very good. Okay, one last one. This is a nice one. This is not a hard one. So take a kind of longish lunge position. Just think about making a diamond of the hands. You just reach up. Just reach up as high as you can, keeping the spine long, neutral. And then as you get there, just add a little bit of a back bend to it with the next breath. Hold that position, and then the next in breath, take it to a gentle side bend. Keep expansion all the time. Just take it as far as comfortable. This is really a release motion, so don't make it too stressful. If that all feels okay, the next in breath, take it to a little bit of a spiral out to the side, away from the back leg. Just take a couple of deep breaths there in that full position, wherever you got to. Last one, just with the feet, just think about pulsing the foot down. Pulse the heel to the ground, doesn't have to touch the ground. And just activate that whole chain of the body through the spiral line. And then next out breath, release it, pull back to center, switch the leg out, and again that same thing, make a diamond shape, spine nice and long, think about just going as high as you can with the shoulders. Oh, okay, and then take it to a subtle back bend with the next in breath, subtle side bend with the next one. And that feels all okay, take it to a very subtle spiral. And then wherever you are in that progression, just take the heel up and down from the back leg. Next next out breath, release it, pull back to center. You check the arms a little bit. There we go. Great. We check out the wrists. The top. Check out the arms a little bit down. And the legs, kick them out a little bit. And let's go to the whole body. Okay, great. Yeah. So one of the key things with foundation training, or the thing that I need to know that I'm doing, is I'm misaligning the structure with gravity. So especially these kind of hip hinges like this feeling really falling over. And that's something that kind of feeling I really don't want to carry over, especially into Aikido when we talk about balance. So if I'm pulling my body into those kind of structures, it's a kind of setup for failure in a sense. So the next exercise in this case, just that really simple swing, but think about really aligning everything to gravity now. So think about the hands, the head, the spine, and then dropping in. Dropping in. So I really want to avoid, especially now, things like this, pulling the hips back, this, pulling the hands forward, and I just want to go to a feeling just aligning to gravity in this case. So misaligning to gravity is useful for kind of strengthening the body. Think about doing press-ups or anything like this. Stressing the body, but actually using the body to really start to align to the ground. Good. And then from there, just take it to the circle. So again, keep that same sense, aligning the spine through the structure, through the ground. And especially this one now, as you reach up to the top of the head, just feel the arms really finding the center line. And if I'm working out of the center line, the body's really going to kind of suffer in this case. So think about as relaxed as I can through it, especially with the upper body. But the thing that's really useful from foundation training is this idea of hip-driven motion. So again, it's what we do all the time. Think about really trying to drive the arms from the hips. So the hips really drive everything you do. It. Just switch sides a couple of times. Circle one way, circle the other way. Good. Yeah. One thing that tends to go with this one, if you think about a really key alignment for the body is hip, knee, foot. Think with this one, especially if we're twisting much, it's very easy to lose that direction of the body. So if you think about it, you do this with the hottest show with these pants. Maybe that. So think about it, you go in really just the knee falls towards the toes. It's a difficult one to check with this one because as well as doing that rotation, but I want to keep all the time that alignment. Now it is tricky with it because you are rotating the upper body. So it's tricky to hold it, but if you think about doing it, just do it so much that you can keep the knee basically aligning towards the toes. But if I feel, especially with this one, something like that happening or that happening, then I really want to check it and basically just settle back into the ground. If you feel that you're kind of losing it, just go back to that kind of simple one. And this one's much easier to hold it. As the shoulders go with the hips. But I'm really trying to get the knees to just align to the ground, and it's very easy as well as I go into rotation to really lose it. So as you do it, just think about that alignment, a really key one for us. Because there's a lot of activity in the hands, it tends to go a little bit under the radar. That's perfect. Good. And then last one, just really a release. Think about just raising the hand up and just dropping it down this way. So raise up through the center line one side and then drop it off. Raise up, drop it through. Yeah, all that same alignment work now. Just add a little bit of a rotation into it. Think about a little bit more of a functional movement in this case. It's more of a kind of weighted hand down. Ooh. the hand down. I just want to really see how aligned I can get with the ground. The other one is, this is really feel how you raise the hand up from the ground. So again, it's one that tends to go unnoticed. Raise the hand up, pull it down. Raise the hand up, pull it down. But if you think about really how you raise the hand up, it's actually a really complicated series of sensations and actions in the body. But again, it's useful to do every so often, just do a really slow one and think about actually what is, or everything that goes into just a simple action like raising the hand up. And a more kind of a line down with gravity. The greater ease with which I can do it, hopefully. Something like that. And then just take the same feeling to the drop as well, so that the hand coming up. Think about this again. There's really a difference in this case between holding the arm up, something like that, and letting it sit into the body. And then just think about release it. So I just want to basically send an impulse into the hand, which is just says release the arm. Yeah, I just want to basically send that signal and try and make a match. You can go like release and then it doesn't go, or you can go release and it just goes. Yeah, so I just want to basically give myself a kind of movement cue inside the body. Just a kind of command to release and then just let it go. Nice. Yeah, really simple stuff, but that's it. There we go. Okay, now this is a really tricky one. This is difficult to teach, but think about this. You're gonna do two things. You're gonna think about raising the hand and not raise it, and then sometimes think about raising it and raise it. Okay, so I go like, oh yeah, I'm gonna verbalize what I'm doing. So I'm gonna go like, raise the hand and don't do it. Raise the hand, don't do it, raise the hand. And I do the same on the way down. I think about drop the hand, don't do it. Drop the hand, don't do it, drop the hand. Yeah, so I'm kind of just playing with it a little bit, but think about the kind of impulse to do it. You kind of verbalize it inside, but you can say if you want. The thing in this case is just so the idea with this one is really notice what happens when I go to the idea of raise the hand, see what happens to the body. So see if things like this happen in the shoulder. As I go to sink the hand, think about things like this happen. So see what reaction happens in the body when you give it an order, which is like raise the hand and see what happens. Sink the hand, see what happens. And I want basically the action and the command to be the same thing, but I want it especially to look for when I do these kind of things like, actually is the body set up to do it correctly? And if I'm kind of misaligned, even subtly, and I kind of want to really feel it. And just raise. And just raise. Okay, now play with it, a really simple one, which is just this one from here. Don't do this too much, but think about raising the hands up and dropping them onto the hip. Yeah, so just give it a little bit more feedback to it. Yeah, I just want to raise them up, raise them up, raise them up, drop them down. Yeah, especially with this one, because it's got more of a percussion at the end of it. The tendency is to do something like this first, this first, and see if you can just get out of it and just raise them. And just lower them. Just raise, just lower. And again, I'm sometimes going to give myself the command to do it, and don't. Yeah, and then do it. So it's a bit of a tricky one. Kind of inhibiting this idea to go like, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to do it, just do it. A little bit of a strange one. There we go. Nicely. That's it. Good. Okay, good. And then just take it to a fluid one now. So you just find the shoulder. Keep a kind of light shoulder tap in this case. And I just want to keep the movement going now. In the moment I feel the body kind of misaligning, something like their knees pull out or the spine starts to go out of structure, just pull the body back up to center, settle back in, and then just start it again. But especially be kind of sensitive now to these two things, especially the alignment in the knee, this going out, and the alignment in the upper body. They tend to do the same thing. And again, just look for as relaxed a pattern as you can make with the body, especially with the arm. So I really want to feel the arm just releasing. And the more you get into this, the more think about really grounding grounding, grounding. And you can take the arm, actually, once you've got into this, just take the arm really to any kind of position. As long as I can keep it flowing through, and I can keep the alignment and not come out of the ground. Just hold the movement. And again, just challenge the ability of the arms to pass around the body. And you just notice it's a very subtle one, but again, as you go to complex actions, it tends to get kind of muddied a little bit. Think that you're always actually giving a command to the hand to go somewhere. So in the case of the shoulder, I'm always giving it the command shoulder, shoulder, shoulder. And then if I go somewhere else, I just give it the same. Hip, ribs, hip, shoulder, hip. But I definitely going to like hip, shoulder. Yeah, I don't kind of confuse the way in this case. I just notice it's kind of subtly happening in the background. You kind of move the arms around. Good. Yeah, great. Very last one. Just bring the hands together. Going to be shoulder weight. Just think about mobilizing the hands from the hips now. So really bring the hands together. Don't give them a chance to kind of separate. Just use them together and just think about, you've got two areas you can kind of work in this case. Think about the fingertips kind of going forward. You can also think about the thumbs kind of adding rotation work into it. So the key with this again is try and get out of an isolated arm movement and get into the feeling that the center of the body is kind of leaded. So again, just think about a setup with this where you just mobilize the structure from the core of the body. And then it doesn't feel at all like 𝘬𝘪, but it's really related to what we do with weapon work, especially sword work in this case, both hands working together from the core of the body. And think about a little bit leading out with the fingertips, a little bit of rotation work. And again, just checking that alignment with the hip, knee, foot. And again, especially with this kind of stuff, as I go into twisting work, it's very easy to lose this kind of alignment in the lower body. And if you feel that's happening, just take the movement a little bit smaller. Feel that alignment sets in, and then just start to work with it a little bit. Think about raising the hands a little bit. Think about a little bit adding sword kind of feeling motions, like slicing movements, cutting motions, in which case you're going to start to take the feeling a little bit more to the blade edge of the hand, and then go into these kind of patterns. But then the feeling is the fingertips are full of the feeling of the hips. The thumbs adding a little bit of rotation work into it. So keep the wrists soft, elbows soft. So. And then from there, just start to involve the legs in it. So just kind of placing weight through them. Think about, again, the stuff we do the foundation training. What I want to do now is just let the weight settle into one foot and then kind of move with it. Let the weight settle into one foot and then just kind of move through it. And I'm looking to really align to gravity now. I'm trying to avoid the hips being pulled away from the body. Again, although those are the very useful positions to work with in terms of, especially for us in terms of sword work, I want the hips to be like I want the feet to be like a carriage for the hips, creating a pathway that just settle into the ground. Good. Good. That's it, that's it, that's it. Good. Okay, good. Super. Great. Good. Okay, grab a bottom. And now we test it. Test the connection. Yes. Okay. The first thing is keep that body work going, but just don't think about cutting motions. Just think about the grip and how you go into it. So think about sometimes releasing the grip and just kind of letting the sword move in the hand. And then think about really sealing into the grip with it. Key thing with this, with the sword work especially, is that the grip isn't going into making the arms rigid. So if I go into a kind of grip, something like this, which is going to start to lock the joint system up, I want to kind of feel that. So I want to keep a grip here with the sword, which maintains the mobility through the joint system. And again, just kind of play with moving around a little bit. Sometimes let the grip go, just work with the sword a little bit, work with the bokken, let it drop a little bit sometimes, let it move around, and then just think about the kind of grip I want to really entrain into the body. So, good. Mm-hmm. Good. Okay, and then again, with that motion, just think about coming into Kamae with it. So if you think about this basic standard Kamae, so you come in, Shudan Kamae just in front, and then just play with a little bit of a hip movement here. So what I'm doing it with this, it's just a check on the grip and to see if there's a basic communication from the hands to the hip. Now, I don't want to go into it, feel that the body's locked, and then kind of wiggle the hands a little bit. What I want to feel in this exercise, this very subtle exercise, is like drawing into Kamae and then check the connection. Okay, so I want to feel an equal amount of movement in the upper body as the lower body. Okay, and I really want to feel that the hands are communicating from the hips are communicating the hands, the sword. Okay, so it's a very subtle exercise. Just move with it. Again, play with sometimes releasing the sword. Feel you get into a really strong Kamae, connected, and then just check it. It's just a very subtle movement of the body. Okay, and then once you've got it, just take it into the 𝘭𝘪𝘐𝑵𝑟𝑖. Strong in. As soon as you feel something misaligned through the body, so something like this happens, just pull the body back. You can go a little bit back into movement. What I'm looking for is just to get really that feeling of connection into the hip. Feel the nice strong connection into the ground through the gravity, and then just drop into it. So again, the sword cut's now just a really a test of that connection work. Really not a functional cut, especially for us. But if I see it really as just an exercise in aligning everything to the ground, aligning the motion of the sword as easy as I can into the ground. Especially with this, if I can kind of hold that connection through, just keep going with the 𝘭𝘪𝘐𝑵𝑟𝑖. And as soon as you feel something either drift out, which can be physical, can be mental, just pull out of it, just to refine that connection into it. Great. Very nice. Yeah. And then from there, we'll just take it into a little bit of Zengo. So again, as long as you can stay in that connection work, think of really, again, this is a really great exercise for a kind of alignment with the ground. Let the sword just pass up, drop in. So really, actually very similar to this exercise before, this kind of drop, 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 drop in. And just think again about the kind of the movements as you go in. There's always going to be a command to raise from the body. Raise and cut. Raise and cut. Raise and cut. And just notice those kind of things happening in the body. And again, I want to really just align command to raise should just raise the sword, the command to cut should just engage into the cut. Okay. Yeah. So there's a couple of misalignments that tend to happen in this movement, and because it's this kind of rotation spiral, one of the main ones, really look out for this one, which is something like this happening, the arms splitting away from the body. So, and to initiate the rotation, I do something like this first, and then I pull the sword up to the center, comes out, and then it pulls up, pulls out, and then it pulls up. So the sword does go that way, it does pass that way, but try and avoid doing something where the arms are kind of pulling it out. Think about the movement releasing from this situation here into this position. But try and avoid a pull out with the arms this way. Just let that movement happen, goes away from the body, and it happens within this rotation, and then drops in. So it's something with the elbows, it's something with the grip, being able to allow that movement to happen. But especially with this one, it's an easy misalignment to get into because it's almost kind of written into the movement. So I really need to resist the urge to push the arms out away from the body. That's it. Okay, good. The other misalignments, this one, again, really common one, is to get through the rotation and the sword's in front of the body. And then the cut-in is to the front. So something like this happening, the body gets pulled out. This is one reason why a lot of teachers actually teach this movement to find the back and then cut. Find the back and then cut, which is a useful exercise, especially if I'm really misaligning that one. But I don't want to get stuck in that pattern. So what I really want to look for is one motion with it, but just check on this one. It's very easy to lose the sword to the front, and then the body, again, it's kind of misaligning the cut to the center. It's very easy to do in this case because the tendency is as you rotate, the sword's traveling one way, the body's going the other way. But again, it's just a matter of kind of connecting the bodywork to the ground and aligning the structure of the sword to the ground. It's generally true of all 𝗧𝗪 work. It's really about doing less, and I want to really find those misalignments in this case where I'm really doing things. They tend to involve pulling, pushing kind of motions, or pulling, pushing ideas. So just trying to get rid of them a little bit. And again, just play with testing it, which is to take it to a Shiho. So if you think about now, the cut on the third is really the test for that movement. Okay. And that's all that I'm really interested in that form. So think about doing this both sides. So mix in a little bit with it. Don't do necessarily just do every time the 4 directions. Think about just every so often just to test that connection. Can I take it all the way back? Yeah, can I take it all the way back? Yeah, you will get dizzy if you do this every time, but play with that 3/4 rotation because again, it's just a test of that ability to connect. Can I just pivot around? Can I just pivot around? And again, any misalignments that I'm working with will really take the body out of structure now. They'll really take the body out. So again, it's really just aligning to the ground, aligning the cut with the ground force with gravity, and just letting it drop in. And it's really the challenge is how do I mobilize the body with that feeling. There we go. Okay, good. And there's one more movement in this. If you were to take this to Happo Giri, you finish on the left side, cut, and then I need to get all the way back to the front. So I do something like this motion. And it's just basically pulling back to Kamae. Again, it's a really interesting movement. It only you can do this on the right side, but it only actually really works from the left side after you finish a cut. And then the idea is that I just want to rotate and pull back into balance and pull back into Kamae so I can start the form again. So just play with this a little bit. If you get a bit lost with it, just go to the full set, in which case I just go to the half bar. You cut 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then it happens here. I pull the body back to the front this way. Okay. So if you get lost, go there, but see if you can just access that movement, because it's a kind of interesting movement to look at, which is basically just, can I go from that left side cut? Can I engage the body in a full rotation, or almost full rotation, and then back into command? Yes, so it's a kind of, again, pulling back to center action. But actually, one of those that tends to get missed or tends to rush, because I think I'm done at number 8. Finish the form, good, drop out of it, come back. Oh, lost it. Okay, so if I think of always working in connection, this is a classic example in the practice. I'm really checking and testing the connection. And again, it's a little bit of a pressured movement, can actually hold and stay in the center. And then the feedback from that, can I just go back into a cut straight into the ground? And again, can I kind of hold that feeling of the ground? Hold the alignment with this, with gravity. Yeah, good, nice. Good. Great, and then last one is just hold with the 𝘱𝘠𝘢𝘵, but just mix them in a little bit, so going back into motion. So it's one thing to do that all statically, and nice, and dong, dong, but it's another thing to kind of try and find those motions, try and find those movements in motion. So think about subtle motion of the body, and then just play with sometimes engaging into the cut. Now again, all the misalignments that I got through the structure, which are many, will really start to pull the body out. So think about really trying to really align with the ground. And once you're in that connection mode, just trying to keep it, hold it, stay in motion. You've got a few options. You've got the first 𝘧𝗪𝘂. You've got the rotation that you make in 𝑍engō. You've got the rotation that you would make in 𝑠hippō. And you've got that full rotation back into kamae that you would make by happo. Just a little bit of movement to kind of precede it. Good, and let's go seconds out. Just find the shoulder width, just releasing again back into the ground. So we're just looking to even everything out again. Get the shoulders back into place, hips back into place. Just feel the head centered on the spine. Release the grip. And just with a nice big slow breath, reaching up, take it as high as you can, open up the armpits. Deep breath in. Closing down to the front. Last one, find that top position, just releasing out the shoulders a little bit side to side, a little bit to the back. And you're flossing the shoulder. Good. Find that central position. Just hold it. One deep breath. And let it out. Great. Very good. We will stop right now. Great. どうもありがとうございました。
どうもありがとうございました。
Okie doke. Great. Thank you very much. Very good.